Okay, in the back of this book it gives definitions of words. And the definition for United States of America, let me explain this, folks. Capitalization counts big time. You know, if you thought your teachers were being picky, in the law, capitalization is extremely important. United States of America in all caps means a plaintiff pleading in a case having the venue and jurisdiction originating in the Philippines. Isn't that strange? United States, if they go after, Nancy versus United States, that's plaintiff pleading in a case having venue and jurisdiction originating in the District of Columbia. When they file an action against you, they do it in all uppercase letters. You know why? That's a fictitious person. That's all they can use. They can't go after you as an individual. They put you in jail, but they go after you as a fictitious person. And guess what, folks? I say, hey, I think I'll go get a copy of this off the internet. It ain't there. Cornell University, it ain't there. It's not anywhere. West Publishing and all the other publishing companies and all are taking the stuff out of the law books. Guess what else is happening? You've probably seen, if you play on the internet, people advertising, we will give away law books if you will come get them or pay for postage or that kind of thing. So all the law books are being gotten out of law libraries and that kind of thing. What does that mean? The only thing that people are using anymore is the computerized stuff, and they're taking the stuff off the computerized versions left and right. It's not there. You can't even find the law in many cases to be able to decide whether you're guilty or not. Trial by jury, folks, let me just tell you, that is a thing of the past. There's a quote by Jerry Spence that's just absolutely riveting. I won't go into it in the interest of time. One of the things that they do to you, for example, willful failure to file has 3 elements. One element of willful failure to file is that you had the liability to file. Second element is that you didn't file. And the third thing is you knew you had to file, but you didn't file. In other words, you willingly didn't file. Now, if somebody's indicted for willful failure to file, what would you say would be pretty much of a gimme? They didn't file, right? So that only leaves 2 arguments. Either I'm not liable or I didn't mean to do it. The courts are now taking away, without question, one of those elements. They are saying liability is not an issue. They will say to you, the jury, I am telling you, the judge, I'm telling you as a matter of law, that man is liable. So that's not even an issue. We don't even want to argue about that. We don't even want to talk about it. And so the only thing you can argue is willfulness. And believe me, folks, you say, well, how could I be willful if I know all this stuff that Eddie talked about, and I know all these Supreme Court cases, and I know all that? They're still convicting a large percentage. One of the things I had a friend of mine write me who used one of the top constitutional lawyers is do not use a lawyer. Because a lawyer, by definition, works for the court. He has allegiance to the bar. And you've got to learn how to defend yourself because you're dead. Because the thing is, lawyers won't even bring up a lot of these issues that Eddie talked about. They can't bring them up because you know why? They'll be fined, they'll be disbarred, and it's happened time and time again. There's a guy by the name of Jeff Dickstein who wrote a book called Judicial Tyranny, and he talks about all the ways. And he's been disbarred in several states for trying to stand up for people. And the guys go, hey, I'm not going to be a hero. I'm going to go in there and do my little thing. And I'm not going to bring up all these arguments, and if you got to go to jail, you got to go to jail. Constitutional rights, folks, if you haven't got the points yet, the point is you have none. You have none. And if you still have any question about that, here is one little court case that, and there's several of them, that talk about the fact you have none. I guess I can turn it back on now. But indeed, no private person has a right to complain by suit in court on the ground of a breach of the Constitution. The Constitution, it is true, is a compact, but he is not a party to it. In other words, you aren't parties to the Constitution. You got no rights to complain about any violation of any of your rights, any of the Bill of Rights. You can forget about all that. You can forget about just about everything. Convictions without juries. Now, this is interesting. Here, we know that, for example, Eddie brought up, correct, absolutely correct, you can't file a tax return without giving up your Fourth and Fifth Amendment rights. That's absolutely correct, and yet they're putting people in jail for it. Sixth Amendment, right to trial by jury. You have a right to be confronted by your accuser and to have a jury of your peers decide the case. Garbage. That is total garbage. Now, if it is absolutely, and again, I've got all the details, and I'll go into it on any level you want in private, but we don't have time today. They can convict you, if they can convict you of any minor federal case, any minor thing, they can sentence you to whatever they please under the new guidelines, because the way it works is, if you're convicted of some minor offense, the prosecutor can come in and say, we think that Ken also murdered somebody, and we think that Ken also did this and that and the other. And if he can get the judge to believe it without a trial, without witnesses, without evidence, just get him to believe it. If the judge thinks you did it, then you did it.